Americans are deep in debt, and it's only getting worse. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 12th. And, interesting week. We saw some wild action based on Iran, based on other things. Markets, not much movement, very little volume, very little to act on. But for the week, we did find out that, of course, our debt continues to get higher. And not only your personal debt, but your debt to the government continues to get higher as we just now push towards 200% of GDP, debt to GDP. And of course, we, the taxpayer, are responsible for that debt. So not only are your costs rising with this stupid ass inflation and with the high energy costs that we're paying, and of course, a lot of those energy costs are due to AI, as much as we'd like to blame it on oil and other things. The cost of electricity is going higher, sky high, because of the AI process. And again, not that I'm against AI, although I think there's some problems with it right now, and it will replace more and more jobs as we go along. But at the end of the day, why aren't those companies covering the bill? Why are we helping the trillion-dollar companies continue to make more money at our cost? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I think it's a problem. It's something to think about, and of course, it also comes something to think about when it comes to the voting booth next time you go. Um, we're seeing lots of issues in the oil markets now. Yes, oil spiked a little bit this week before falling with the news out of Iran, but the UAE oil output hits all-time high, and of course, they just sold China a bunch of oil below cost because China's in trouble, because oil prices are dramatically too high based on the amount of inventory, based on the production, but yet we allow and continue to watch these prices hold or rise. The gas margins have gotten out of control significantly. And, again, look, I'm a free market guy, but you're now, I think, into the potential gouging area. We know the prices aren't these high. We know, and you'll see the earnings season begins on Tuesday, and you'll see that there'll be, when the oil companies start to report, you will see record profits. You can bet on it. Okay. I think the stocks have already priced it in, but you can see record profits. And that is at the cost, once again, of us, the consumer. Again, I think that, hopefully somebody will, start to bring their prices down. And I'm not talking about the government. I don't want government intervention here. I want some of these companies to come down, but there might be a little bit of colluding in here, so a little price collusion in these things. But the dam will break here probably pretty time soon. They won't have an excuse to hold these prices here, but we'll see. You've got earnings, as I said. Huge earnings are expected for this quarter, 23% year over year increase. And now you have to wonder, are those priced in? Is the market going to explode if it meets earnings, or the market's going to tank if we don't meet earnings? I don't have the answer to that. To me, I'm always a believer that the markets know what's coming, so I don't know how much of a shock unless their earnings are 26%. And it's hard to imagine, based on the number of layoffs, based on the number of company closings, based on other things, other factors, that earnings are going to be, that they're going to beat expectations. But, one of the big problems we know with companies is there's a very tricky little game they play, which is to underpromise and overdeliver to bring in new money, as in from investors. And of course, obviously, the average investor is struggling, but the big money still got it, so they're not going to worry about it. Existing home sales decline again, 2.4% in June. Well, here we are back in the precipice of '08, and we have placed certain places, stated income, okay, no money down. And again, that doesn't mean that it's a problem today. And certainly those who have the assets to do that will benefit. But those who don't, who will try it and get approved, you're going to see a bunch of bad loans coming again. But what has to happen is the home builders have to get that inventory off their books so they continue to build. We'll see. Consumers shouldn't expect prices to fall anytime soon. We're not good. Prices aren't coming down. Okay. I mean, you can see it at the grocery store. You can see it everywhere. Maybe some things have marginally come down, but in general, one thing we know, and I've always used the same example because it's just the easiest to use. Starbucks, they have gone up so many times and their prices are so ridiculous, but they've never come down with the price of coffee. Okay. I mean, stores don't come down in price as a rule. Once they get there, it doesn't matter what they're paying. It's what they've got you, the consumer, to already accept as a price. So that is the big problem we have is when those things do happen. Okay. New U.S. nuclear regulator seeks and simpler environment reviews to boost nuclear expansion. Look, I've said it here almost every week. I don't know. We should not have oil. We should be using nuclear energy. We should be using, again, I'm not a climate change believer, but if you are, then nuclear energy is the answer. Nuclear energy is the answer for everything, for everybody. Okay. It's not solar. It's not wind. That's a bunch of horseshit. That the government, our government is stealing money from us with the perks and the bullshit because they're getting kickbacks on all this stuff. Do you want to solve the problem? You want to solve all energy problems? You want to fix the power grid? You want to do all those things that need to be done? You go to nuclear energy. It's very simple. Okay. Speaking of that, U.S. nuclear, the Trump has the right to warn about communism. Now, there's a poem I've often quoted here, and it's, I forget the guy's name right now, but it's first they came for the Unionists, then they came for the Catholics, and they came for the Protestants, blah, blah, blah. And when they finally came for me, there was nobody left to help. Well, my point here is very simple. Okay. Everything starts out very small. Okay. Just like the AI expansion, just like the internet bubble, just like any other thing in life, it starts out small. And you now see in New York, you've got a communist socialist mayor. Again, the difference between communism and socialism is either murder or suicide. You just had an election there. You had more socialist communists elected. Okay. So it's starting to spread throughout the country. Okay. Now everybody says, it's nothing, it's small, it's no big deal. Well, it is a big deal because everything starts very small. If you continue to ignore it and you continue to put it that way, we are going to end up with a communist government. Okay. Again, I think you have to really think about it. Okay. And I think that it's important to understand. Okay. When billion-dollar nonprofits stop looking like charities, and again, there's so many loopholes and so many things go on that some of these nonprofits, are making so much money that it's unbelievable, and they're not supposed to. It's a joke, and we've seen in a couple of small areas where Cuba, for example, the power grid failed. You realize that could happen here. Okay, if we go back to Katrina didn't have to happen. Okay, the Army Corps of Engineers told New Orleans and the government what they needed to do to fix the levees. They did not. We know that we need work on the power grid. And of course, nada. So when you look at it, you go, that could be pretty problematic. And it could be, okay, especially with the demand. Dems ramp up efforts to hike taxes on the wealthy. What is considered wealthy? This is the same argument I'm going to give you from the communism, socialism, government edge. What is wealthy? Okay. Yes, maybe they'll start out with they're going to tax the billionaires. Does that mean they won't then later tax the millionaires and then tax the thousandaires? Again, this is government is so out of whack and not what it's meant to be, and is not in benefit of the people. It goes back to the famous quote from Ronald Reagan. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. You can bet your ass they're never here to help you. Okay. And the national debt, hey, it continues to push higher. Why is it that we can't stop it? Okay. But yet we're pissing away all this money from entitlements and from other things that are going on, plus the money that leaves this country to go to other countries. Look, I believe that we need to take care of this country first. And I think that's a bigger problem. Again, take it for what it's worth. But I'm an American and I'm tired of seeing my cost of living go higher. Well, the federal government continues to go lower because, of course, if you and I lived like the federal government, we'd be either in bankruptcy court or jail, okay, with the way that they spend money. I think that's a very big problem. I think it needs to be handled. And of course, 10 states that have the most debt per capita, which we'll talk about in our commentary. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday. It is July the 12th. We're going to step out here for a break and we'll be right back with more after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What up, kids? I hope everything's well. I hope you had a great week. And of course, obviously, we have sponsors for the show, and they are brokers. And I have other brokers, just to give you full disclosure. But also, we have a brand new product, the Daily Trade Finder, which has been very quiet the last couple of weeks, quite frankly. Made a little money, but very quiet, very tough to trade. So we've been very conservative, which is how we trade. And of course, our brokerage partners, Trader Brokerage. Look, Trader is $10 a month. That's the first easy thing to say. Okay, saves me $100,000 a year in commission. Number two, all of our automatic trading, all of our software goes easily with Trader. Plus, if you do your own writing, you can use your own. So again, it's a great view. They have everything that you can possibly want. Great customer service, and again, save yourself some money. Why piss it away? Capital Trading Group partners with us on a lot of our futures and commodities programs. Great customer service, great opportunity, fairly priced. Check them out. And of course, The Joy of Mom, which is a great app and website for moms who are looking for conversation, looking for some questions. New moms have things that they always want to ask. And of course, there's always things going on. It's a great community with millions of people that participate, and I urge you to check it out. And of course, our high school program, which of course we want to get literacy to our children, so maybe future generations won't be in the same shithole and spot we are right now. And that, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and of course our market commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday. It is July the 12th. And well, markets had, an up week. Nothing dramatic, but higher. The Dow did make new highs. And again, nothing majorly surprising. S&P pretty flat, kind of a consolidation near all-time highs. The Nasdaq still well off their all-time highs. Look, at the end of the day, either we're near a top, or we're going to be close, or we've made the top. I don't make predictions. I can just tell you that we're short the S&P and the Dow in our portfolios, and have been short for a while. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to predict to you and say that it's over. I mean, it could certainly rally, but one of the biggest concerns I have is that not only was volume light last week, it got lighter every single day. So that's a concern to me. But as we look around the board at the rest of the things that trade, the dollar continues stuck between $1 and $1.01 or so. Nothing to do there. It's pretty slow, pretty shitty. The euro currency hovers down back around that 114. We're out of the euro currency. We're flat, and it's probably a chance if you're a buyer. This is probably a pretty good time to buy it for a trade if you're interested in something like that. Again, I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying that that's what I'd be looking at. Bonds and notes continue to go down, which means interest rates continue to go up, which is what we said, and we expect interest rates to rise mightily, and we expect these to collapse. Now, there'll be a rally. Maybe this week you'll get a rally in the notes and the bonds. We'll see. But for now, they continue to go down. We continue to be short. Bitcoin we had an up week, pushing up back towards that 65,000. We have no position right now. Gold, pretty flat week, higher for the week, but pretty flat. We have uh, excuse me, we're long gold. Okay, silver it just hovers around that $60 level after holding 55, no position. Platinum flat, no position. Copper kind of again very much similar, going kind of sideways like a lot of the other markets. We're still flat. Grain markets had a very solid week, which we're still long. And as we look at the cattle market, the cattle is now down on that support level. We missed the 245 sell. It's now at 235, hoping to get some sort of a bounce. Hogs continue just to churn sideways. Natural gas, which again I'm not that interested in, it is very oversold. I am not going to make this trade, but this is where I'd be looking to make the trade. If it stays down here, into August, I would probably look more serious at it. But I don't think a lot. I don't do a lot of natural gas stuff in the summertime. There's not enough activity in it, but we'll see. And crude for the week, a little bit of a pop, but you can if you look at it objectively, you had that pop on Tuesday, Wednesday, okay, and then it considered to come all the way back down Thursday, Friday. So you look at what you want, but I definitely look for an opportunity to sell it on into a rally. I think that's the way to play it. But I think you have to be very careful. And the lack of volume is concerning. Starting in 2 weeks from today, we start the 24/7 in gold in the small 1 ounce gold contract. So it's something to look at, be prepared for, and maybe some opportunity. In the meantime, this is our market report, and we're going to step out here for a break and come back with our commentary right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, kids? Just remember our daily trade finder. Remember our sponsors, Trader Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, The Joy of Mom, and our high school program. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with our commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, July the 12th. And, I've mentioned as we were leaving the 10 states that have the most debt per capita. First of all, remember that out of the $40 trillion that the government's in debt, you're responsible for a share of that. However, they're going to get it from you. You are somewhat responsible for what the government is doing because, of course, the government doesn't make money. But now we go into the individual states, which have massive amounts of debt. And it's interesting that out of the top 10, they're mostly 90% are Democratic states. Okay. Now, again, I'm not issuing against Democrat versus Republican, but at the end of the day, the debt in those states, and the number one is Connecticut. Okay. Illinois is in there. California is in there. So once again, you're paying a high premium to live in some of these states because, of course, they're just a little bit better criminals than anywhere else. I mean, again, when you look at the landscape of what's going on, and you look at the states that are more left based, I mean, I always ask the question, okay, Nevada, Florida, Texas, Arizona, thriving, okay, no state income tax versus California, New York, Illinois, Connecticut, extremely high state income tax, always need more money. You just have to give some logic and some thought to the process of why that's always the case. Okay. This is the same process we talk about with the federal government debt. Okay. Why aren't our officials doing a better job of running their budget and reducing the debt? Okay. Because of course they're pocketing a lot of money through special interest deal where they're paying more. And I would bet everything that I have that we could find more illegal payments being made from the federal level to the state level to the city level on projects that somebody's getting a kickback. So again, I think you have to do some very serious thinking as this debt continues to pile higher and as issues continue to rise. It can only hurt you in the long run. And I think it's time to stop ignoring what's going on in states like or cities like New York, Chicago, because again, it starts out very small, these little movements, and before you know it, when they get rolling, no different than what happened in Nazi Germany. Okay, it didn't start out as what it did. It ended up, and this is like everything else, starts out small, continues to grow. Be very careful and make sure you think about it. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you back in tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update. And of course, next week with Bubba's Bottom Line.